Ki khubor ka Batesi TV.
Ka umdi basnyam bat penjaslian. Rupa Premium Meghalaya.
St. Anthony's College Shillong, Atri Unai Lumur Arajar Pusan Pynkup Burom, Iki Samla Pule, Kibla pass Baha ke examen me pher Blapin mana result dangshan, the Northeastern Hill University. But haka juga por ke college Pynkup Burom ru, Iki Nonghikai Kibla kenjo apusan senam bijing syakri, but kumjo, Iki Nonghikai Kibla pendap ke kedan Pule PhD. Haka ni gesngi nasa khilang Menteri ke Sarkar Jilla uba Pualingdo ublalong kumukongsan bagi Head of Department ke Department of Fisheries Science ke Dr. Sarah MB Karbuli kablalong kum ke sembut kongsan ringkat ke Jinanlang jung Rector Reverend Father A.L. Jos u Principal u Father Dr. Arcadius Puwen markiwe.
In every soul, some brightly burning, some dark and cold. There is a spirit that brings the fire, ignites our candles, and makes us whole. She can walk with light too, yet she holds a candle without a flame to carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless in the name of Jesus. Make us awaken in the darkest times. Carry your candle, go light the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will say, please applaud its unveiling. Thank you, Dr. Amanda Compare. The Antonian Chronicle is now released. Let's welcome it with a big round of applause.
Congratulations.
Let's light the room with a thunderous round of applause.
Elizabeth Hazel Linda from the Department of History.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's good. Yes, yes. That's why I needed your help. believe me. Anyway, who's mine? Đây.
members of the teaching faculty, the NCC, non-teaching faculty, and more especially, my dear young friends who have brought upon yourself honor, and I'm sure you will add further value as you leave this shrine of learning. Back in the 1990s, when I was a student here, I didn't have a few of the advantages that I would have loved to have. One is the Department of Music, and two, we didn't have members of the other gender. But I think it did help in that I was not distracted, kept my focus on, and made sure that I journeyed from St. Anthony's College to Nehru. The Department of English at that point of time was rated as one of the top 10 in the country, and eventually from the university to then go up to the secretariat in 2003. St. Anthony's is not just a name for me. My father also happens to have that name, Anthony. Of course, he was not a saint, but he did live up to my expectation as a son. And I fondly remember him leading the audit team from his department, the Department of Local Accounts and Audit. And he was in Anthony's College for several years doing the auditing of the college. It is with immense pride that I'd like to share a few thoughts with you. I will not bore you with a long speech. First, let me thank you for the grand and profuse words of welcome. In a career that gives me more brickbats, it's calming to receive bouquets once in a while. And as a musician, I used to say, when people ask me, why are you so passionate about music? I said, in my office hours, I face the music. And after office hours, I create music. That's why music is so intrinsic to me. When there was a group of boys who on graduation day were bantering among themselves, a couple of them said, I've come up this far in life, but I still wonder why my father can be very naive, very foolish, and he can be very embarrassing at times. They had this conversation, and 4 years later, when they completed their post-graduation, the two friends again met. And the one who was most vocal said, I don't know, something happened to my father. In the past 4 years till today, he has become much wiser. So today is a memorable occasion for St. Anthony's College. And I know for a fact that since you have your various clubs, you have over roughly 30 clubs specializing in different fields like dance and drama, and also the fact that you have now more departments which are career oriented. Quite a few of you will make it to the top in various fields. But I would like to implore I would like to make it a point that whatever you choose to do in life, keep the motto of St. Anthony's College alive in your hearts. And make sure that you continue to add vitality and vigor to Meghalaya, one of the youngest states in the country with a potential that only today we have realized and are trying our optimum best to unleash that potential. It's not very easy for a remote village during the pre-colonial days to come to be now regarded as the most sought tourist destination in India. It's not every day that somebody with the gift, the talent, and the reach of each Chiran to say this is Shillong is his most preferred place of performance when he toured India. It's not very easy for us to have made this far without the vision, the courage, and the leadership that I would like you, as students of St. Anthony's College, to add further value to. Of all the words that I wish to share with you, thoughts that come to me when we lit up the candles at the start of the program, I'm reminded of William Butler Yeats, the Irish poet, and this was his definition of education. Education is not the filling of a pail, it is the lighting of a spark. Education is not the filling of a pail, it is the lighting of a spark. And I'd like to see that you transcend the boundaries of the self to share that light and make sure that we might be small in size, but we are huge in terms of our talent, abilities, and potential. When Father Owen had initially invited me to this occasion, I made a request that I should be referred to as Paul. Paul, by the way, means small, so Paul made me bigger than my name. But the fact is, each of the communities that have been part of Meghalaya's success story have their own points and strengths to contribute to our state. And today, I would like to share a few thoughts with you. Because when we go to mainland India or we travel abroad, there is this persistent feeling that we come from a remote region, a state that is yet to have a fully functional airport, and so on and so forth. But what if we tell the rest of the world that the current age we are living in is termed by geologists as the Meghalayan age? That is how old our civilization is. What if we tell the rest of the world that the man who ended up inventing the ATM machine was born in Shillong in 1925, that the Booker Prize Award winner who wrote The Goddess of Small Things, Arundhati Roy, was Shillong born. That the father of India's nuclear program, Dr. Kalam, was a visiting professor at IIM Shillong. What if we tell the rest of the world that National Science Day was celebrated in memory of C.V. Raman, the noted scientist who spent quite some time living close to Nehru at Maulai? What if we tell the rest of the world that the only songwriter who composed the national anthems of two countries, India and Bangladesh, had written three of his books at Shillong and eventually got the Nobel Prize? This is the rich legacy of our beautiful city. I am not suggesting that we build our strength on our past achievements, but I'd like to say you have a rich legacy and you can only go back with that sense of pride and go forward knowing that you came from a town that eventually has become a city, with St. Anthony's College being one of the leading beacons of hope and inspiration. Today, as I share these words with you, I'd like to share this thought that most of us can hear. Let us also learn to listen. Most of us can speak. Let us also utter words of blessings and kindness to others. Most of us have feet. Let us also walk towards the path of glory and self-denial. Most of us have hearts. Let those hearts feel the suffering of the less fortunate, the disadvantaged, and convert those feelings not into just songs and music, but also into deeds. Friends, as you will eventually join the bigger university, which is the University of Life, I'd like you to keep in mind that life is a celebration. Let us live profoundly, love immensely, learn eternally before we leave. Once again, my heartiest congratulations to the entire St. Anthony's team. We have been invited here as a guest, but as the MC mentioned, I feel more like a homecoming. This college could not have been in the position it is today had not it been for the untiring efforts of principals of the past. I fondly remember Father Mavely. In 1991, when I released my bilingual book of poems, he had chaired the session when Ripple India was the Speaker of the State Assembly. And in 2022, I'm happy to share with you that he again came to be part of the launch of my latest book of poems, A Return to Poetry. I'd like to say this, that whatever achievements, whatever glory we one attains in life, let us stay humble, grounded, and remain eternally grateful to those who have made our lives easier for us. And take that as an inspiration to then ensure that those who are less advantaged than you will also share the benefits of your deeds, your words, and your activities. May you continue to shine. Thank you. God bless you both.